Okay, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm going to be honest with you, Jim Trotter, Robert Mays at The Athletic, and everybody listening on Sirius XM Channel 85, watching on Peacock TV. I played that clip of Mike Tomlin because I'm just going to play Mike Tomlin every day. Just for, like, randomly. Randomly. Like, it's the poetry of Mike Tomlin. I sometimes just drop in, listen to Mike Tomlin press conferences. For what reason? I don't know. I love listening to Mike Tomlin talk. The prudent use of mobility, he said. You catch that? The prudent use of mobility. All right, Robert Mays, in all seriousness, okay, as much as I enjoy listening to Mike Tomlin, he did talk about a subject I'm interested in. That's Mitch Trubisky, still the starting quarterback of the Steelers. You fine gentlemen who know football at a very high level, tell me why Tomlin believes in Trubisky more than the rookie Kenny Pickett.
I don't know if it's a belief. I think it's just part of the plan. And I was always wondering what they were thinking with the quarterback position, how it felt and played into what they wanted to be in 2022. And the Steelers are such a unique team in the sense that they want to win every game. It's not a long-term view. There's no precedent put on, there's no importance put on what's going to happen a year from now or 2 years from now. Every single week they want to win. And that's why I thought that Trubisky would be the week one starter, just because in the short term, they thought he was better. And Mike Tomlin has to go to Cam Hayward and he has to go to the other veterans on that team and tell them, look them in the face and say, we're trying to win every single game. But at this point, I'm wondering if that's true anymore. Even if Kenny Pickett is slightly worse, it still feels like you're better setting yourself up for right now and the future for him to play. And that's my question is, how many different reasons do we have for Mitchell Trubisky to still be the starter if he's not considerably better right now? And the most important thing for your franchise long-term is getting Kenny Pickett developed.
I think some of it could be based on the upcoming schedule and just the fact that they can't protect right now. And with a young quarterback, you have to worry about his psyche. If you can't protect and he's going to be hit or sacked a lot, what does that do for him long term? Because that's really the only reason I can think that they have not turned to Kenny Pickett yet. So he showed promise in the preseason in terms of what he did when he was in there and whatnot. Knowing Mike Tomlin the way that I do, I just have to believe, as you say, it's about the process, but it's also about the long-term effects of if we put him in and he's getting hit, and defensively without TJ Watt, we can't play the type of defense we want and we can't run the ball effectively. We're asking our young quarterback to do a lot, and I just don't think that he is ready to put him in that situation at this point.
It's a great point. When we were recapping the game last Thursday night, I said, why wouldn't they just play him? And then our producer pulled the schedule up and I just came to a skidding halt. It's like, well, that's probably why. That's probably the reason they don't feel comfortable putting him in right now.
Yeah, speaking of, I'm glad you brought up Thursday night, Robert, because tomorrow night, and there's the schedule there for the Steelers. But they got the Jets coming up, but that was nasty. Bills, Bucks, Dolphins, Eagles, then a bye. Oh, wow. Maybe after week 9, Kenny Pickett, circle the Saints. If Jameis is still the quarterback, then we don't know. But you mentioned Thursday night, Robert. Last Thursday had a game between the Steelers and Browns. But this Thursday, you've got not so young quarterbacks, but interesting. Same draft, Joe Burrow taking on Tua Tagovailoa. And I got to tell you, Robert, I was not, as recently as, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I was not a Tua guy, and he's forcing me to reconsider. What do you think? What do you think this game is going to be? It's so interesting from Miami's perspective to continue their undefeated trek, and then Cincinnati just trying to get a win. How do you see this one?
I'm fascinated to see what the Dolphins offense against the Bengals defense is going to look like. The Bengals defense is such an interesting group. Last year, they're full of veterans. They've really built this team mostly through free agency. And the guys they brought in are all extremely smart. And you saw what they could do during the playoffs. They had these hyper-specific game plans that were really tailored to slow down specific quarterbacks. And you think back to the game they played against the Chiefs where they were doing all of that drop 8 coverage and really doing unique things that were totally tailored to Patrick Mahomes. So I want to see what their defense does to an offense that's as unique as Miami's is, with all of the motion that they use, all of the RPOs that they use, all of the speed that they have. I think this Bengals defense is arguably one of, if not the most flexible defenses in the entire league. So what Lou Anarumo, their defensive coordinator's plan is for this version of the Dolphins offense, it's the number one thing I'm excited to watch tomorrow night.
No, that's a great point. You know, a lot of people have poo-pooed this team's defense from the standpoint the last 2 weeks they played backup quarterbacks. Cooper Rush, Joe Flacco. They haven't allowed a touchdown in 7 consecutive quarters, 20 consecutive possessions without allowing a touchdown. But here's what fascinates me about this matchup Thursday night. We don't get a lot of trash talk in the NFL before games. Maybe after, but not before. But we got Tyreek Hill coming at Eli Apple now. And then we have Jesse Bates, one of the most mild-mannered, classiest guys in the NFL, clapping back at Tyreek, saying, if you come for one of us, you come for all of us. And then saying, I don't know why Tyreek is so upset. He's so emotional right now. Maybe Eli didn't get him tickets to the Super Bowl. I mean, I'm loving this right now. I'm loving it because I want to see what's going to happen, because you've got two of the fastest receivers, arguably the fastest duo in the NFL, playing against a team, again, that hasn't given up a touchdown in 7 consecutive quarters. It's going to be a lot of fun if Tua is healthy. That's what we got to hope for, that he's healthy in terms of going out there and performing.
Do you both, and keep it right there, Trotter, I'll go to you and then to Robert, do you both buy Tua / Miami? I mean, they're a package deal. Like Jesse Bates said, in the secondary, we're a package deal. So Tua and the offense is a package deal as well. Do you buy that whole operation, that 3-0 operation in Miami?
I do buy it. I think we have seen a melding of the minds in terms of Tua and Mike McDaniel. It also shows what happens when you actually put talent around a player. And then it takes time to develop in this league. Not every young quarterback comes in and lights it up right away, and Tua went through some things. My biggest concern with Tua, to be frank with you, today and going forward, is his injury history. He's just a guy who has not been able to stay on the field. And when we're talking long-term, that's something that I factor in. So I think he's playing at an extremely high level. He's incredibly bright. He's got talent around him. He's getting the ball where it needs to go. But the injury factor is a concern for me when it comes to Tua.
I want to see more.
How about you, Robert?
I guess that's where I'm at right now. I want to see a little bit more. Yeah. I think he's more than capable of piloting the sports car that is that Miami Dolphins offense right now. That's what it is. I mean, that thing is so incredibly well tuned with the players that they have. I think that Mike McDaniel and that staff have done an incredible job so far. If you just look at little tweaks they've had on plays that they've used over the first 2 weeks and how they trotted those out last week, everything makes sense. It all fits together. And when you combine a well-constructed offense with pure juice that they have at receiver, you've seen the results of that so far. And I think he's really able to play point guard within that offense in a way that fits his skill set. But when we see more than 3 weeks of tape, what does it look like? When we see defenses tailored to stop exactly what they are, can he make a play on his own outside of structure when teams are taking away what they do best? That's why I want to see what it's like against this particular defense, because I think that the Bengals, at the very least, will have a very good plan for what the Dolphins have been like over the first few weeks of the season. And it's always funny to me how little tiny moments and sliding doors moments can change the way we talk about somebody. If Matt Milano picks off that ball last week and returns it for a touchdown, how are we talking about Tua right now?
That's right.
I think he's done very well. And I think there have been a couple moments. That throw he had, the little slant for the touchdown last week, he put some zip on that ball. He's escaped some muddy pockets on a couple plays to make things happen out of structure. So there are little kernels of what I want to see from him, but I want to see what it looks like a month from now, 2 months from now, when we get into the playoffs. I firmly believe this will be a playoff team just because of how well the offense is constructed, the talent that they have, and how well their defense can play for stretches. When we get there, what does it look like? And that's something we won't know for months.
See, Robert makes a great point, though. He makes a great point in terms of you.
Go ahead,
Michael.
Yep, go ahead.
Well, he's talking about, I mean, we've talked about this before, how many times with young quarterbacks, we tend to call them a bust. And it's less about the player than the situation that they were put into. And that is when coaching matters, in terms of what do you have and can you game plan, can you coach to a specific skill set that your player has. And Mike McDaniel is doing that with Tua. There are other coaches who are so stubborn and say, this is my system, this is what we run, and you're going to run it, even if it doesn't fit the player skill set. So it's such an incredible point that he makes there about how it is constructed, in this case, because I think that's part of the reason that Tua is having so much success right now.
Yeah, I was always wondering.
You're right, Robert.
Season, I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, that game, I love your point about the Buffalo game. Matt Milano picks off the pass. He drops it right in the breadbasket. He drops it. That's a pick six. If Josh Allen, of all people, makes a better throw, I mean, it was just like, I'm like, whoa, that's a touchdown. Josh Allen really missed an easy throw. If those couple things happen, Ken Dorsey's papers are going the other way. Instead of doing this to his papers, he's throwing up. He's surprised. It's confetti. Instead of like,
whoa, wait, you're so wrong for that. Because all that comes back to me is Levon Kirkland one year when he said to me, if was a fifth, we'd all be drunk. We can go through every game and pick out a play or two and say, if.
I know.
And it goes the other way. So to me, that's unfair.
Well, let me ask you this. If you want to throw the ifs out and say we could do this all day, I know freezing cold takes were made for the month of September. When teams are 3-0, 4-0, and you're like, yeah, they're going to do it. And then they could tank. They could just take a nosedive.
Sure.
They beat Buffalo on Sunday. I want both of your takes on this. They beat Buffalo on Sunday. I didn't think they'd win the game. I know it's only September. Do you see a scenario in which Miami, not Buffalo, wins the AFC East? That Miami is the best team in that division. Can you see that happening?
It's hard for me. It's hard for me. Even with Buffalo's injuries, and those are real. The guys they're missing on defense, they just signed Xavier Rhodes today after their practice squad. Their secondary is really banged up. Losing a guy like Micah Hyde is a huge blow for that defense. Jordan Poyer's banged up. But I still think that when they get some of those guys back, they're one of, if not the best defense in the league. Even if we think Miami's defensive floor is somewhere around middle of the road, Buffalo's ceiling on that side of the ball is so much higher. And I still feel like Josh Allen, when healthy, might be the best player in the NFL, the way he played over the first 2 weeks of the season. And even if we think Tua,
don't do it. Don't do
it. Wait a minute.
The way I tried it out last week. I tried it out last week just to see how it felt. And watching him over those first 2 weeks, some of the things that he was doing, playing within structure, reining in his ambition a little bit, the precision he was throwing the ball with, understanding when to take off, still having that otherworldly physical talent. Well, however we want to stack him up, he's at a very small table of quarterbacks and how they can affect the game. And even if we think Tua can pilot this offense and keep things on track, there's a difference between guys who take you and drag you where you're going and guys who can oversee what an offense can be. And that's okay. The fact that Tua is that at this point in his career, that's not a knock on him, but he's not in the world that Josh Allen is in. So I just think that there are more ways the Bills can win. There are more ways the Bills can figure this out. There are more problems they can solve over a 17-game season, even if we're bullish on Miami. The idea that the Bills are still the favorite in that division is not an indictment of what the Dolphins are right now, because I think they've been extremely impressive and I think they'll continue to be. But I just think that top to bottom, even with some of the guys that are out right now, the Bills are the best team in the league.
I'm not going to say the best team in the league, but I agree with you on the best team in that division right now. I am concerned about that secondary, though. I mean, potentially they could be without their top 5 cornerbacks, or not cornerbacks, but defensive backs going into this game this weekend. And Leslie Frazier is a tremendous defensive coordinator. He's someone I don't think gets enough credit for what he does. I think he should be a head coach in the NFL this next hiring cycle as it comes around. I do agree with you that Josh Allen is in a different stratosphere than Tua Tagovailoa. But having said all of that, I can't let you slide. I can't let you slide with saying that about Josh Allen when Lamar Jackson is out there.
I knew it.
Doing things
coming.
Nobody has ever done.
Incredible.
No one has ever done. And for all those who say, he can't throw from the pocket. 88% of his passes have been from the pocket. 66 have been completed. 9 of them for touchdowns, only 2 interceptions out of that. Then we look at the run aspect of it. We talk about blitzing. The Patriots blitzed him 10 times last week. He completed 9 of those passes for over 100 yards and 4 touchdowns. I mean, I love Josh Allen. I think he's in that MVP conversation. And as you say, he's at that small table of truly elite quarterbacks right now. But, man, what bothers me is I hear people saying Lamar Jackson is the front runner for Offensive Player of the Year. And I'm like, what happened to MVP? His numbers are better now through 3 games than they were in 2019 when he was unanimously voted MVP.
And Jim and Robert, if he is the MVP, you want to talk about a negotiating just boon. Just talk about the all-time great negotiating move where you say, nah, I'm good, and you're theoretically in a contract year. Oh, I know the Ravens could throw a tag on him if they wanted to, but you're in a contract year, you're asking for a guaranteed contract, and then you go out and you win MVP during that negotiating season. You can't get better than that. The only person we've seen do something like that is Aaron Judge, who's doing it right now with the Yankees in a contract year. But do you think, and coming back to the contract, I'm not debating the pros and cons of what he's doing, is it right or is it wrong? Just simply, do you think he will get the guaranteed contract either from Baltimore or someone else? Does he kind of compromise on that position, or does he say, no, I've proven on the field, this is my second MVP, I'm 25, 2 MVPs, you got to give me a guaranteed contract?
My gut feeling is no, just because the team has such incredible leverage with the 2 tags. And that's where they can really pull that lever. That's what makes it difficult. But it's a fascinating standoff because, Jim, you've covered this league for a long time. I don't know how many guys we've seen at the quarterback position exert the leverage and the power that they have to the fullest extent. Kirk Cousins is the one that did. And Kirk Cousins is Kirk Cousins. He's not Lamar Jackson. We've never really seen a quarterback at this level take it all the way. And that's why I can't wait to see how it plays out, because Dak kind of did. Obviously he played on the tag. He was willing to. He got hurt. He still got that deal. And that's just a reminder of, if you're one of the elite guys, you're getting paid no matter what. And even if Dak Prescott is a top 10 quarterback in this league, what we're saying about Lamar Jackson right now and the way he's playing right now, he's never been better. We're running out of areas of Lamar Jackson's game where there's even a slight weakness. And if he is one of those guys at that table with Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, maybe Justin Herbert, the guys that are in their mid-20s and are top 5 quarterback talents in the NFL, and he's willing to push this thing all the way to the limit, how does that end up playing out? Because if you're Patrick Mahomes and somebody comes to you and says, here's a 10-year, $450 million contract, you're fine taking it because you're set for life. You're not worried about all the details of it, whether you're extracting every single dollar you can. And I don't blame a guy for wanting to do that. And the fact that Lamar is willing to do it, what is the end result of that? I have no idea. My gut feeling is that he doesn't get the guaranteed deal just because, again, the team has enough leverage. But I don't think we've ever seen a situation like this with a quarterback of Lamar's caliber. And that's why it's hard to understand how it's going to play out.
Yeah, I would agree with him. I don't think that he gets a fully guaranteed deal that he wants right now. And that's okay. I mean, if the franchise tag is going to be in excess of $40 million next year, you play under that. And then if they want to franchise you the following year, it's a 120% increase over that. So what? We're talking about $48 million, $50 million in the second year of that. So potentially he can make close to $100 million in those 2 years.
$100 million guaranteed.
Lamar's going to be fine with that. Look, here's my thing on Lamar, and I agree with you, Robert. I am so fascinated to see how this plays out, because I think he is the one player who will take it all the way. Because for him, if you go back through his history, it has always been he has had a very small circle of people around him, and they believe in each other, and they stick together. And he is a man who has shown when he says something, he means it. And I believe that the fact that he played this out this year, when the Ravens had put a nice deal on the table, by all accounts, from what we've heard, I think Lamar's going to play this out all the way. And why I'm fascinated by it as well is he has an owner who has already publicly said, who was critical of the Cleveland Browns for giving Deshaun Watson a fully guaranteed contract. So either Steve Bisciotti is going to have to backtrack on what he said, or they're going to have to give Lamar what he wants. And as you say, Michael, if he's coming off an MVP season, particularly if they make a deep playoff run, that's going to be a fascinating negotiation.
I'll just say this on the way out. Look at Lamar Jackson. And it's so funny. You can always find, and you guys do this too when you're having NFL conversations with people, you just kind of bring up, I do this, okay? I'll admit it. I'll give up one of my secrets. I will introduce a topic that is like lightweight polarizing to see how the person handles it. If they go into some of the cliche areas, I go, okay, all right, I see where they're going. So Lamar Jackson is one of those topics where you bring it up and people say, well, yeah, he's a really good runner, but I don't know how he is in the pocket. What do you mean? I mean, just right now, I know it's early in both of their careers. Right now, he's got a higher completion percentage than Josh Allen. Right now, as you pointed out, Trotter, he's on a just staggering run when it comes to facing the blitz and how he's able to pick teams apart. Not taking off and running, just coming back, understanding where the extra guy is coming from, and then slicing a defense up. And then let's get to the running. He's got more rushing yards. I love my favorite stat. More rushing yards than every running back taken in the first round of his draft class. Saquon Barkley, Rashad Penny, Sony Michel. He's got more career rushing yards than all of those guys. So, I mean, we've just never seen anything like it. We've never seen anything like it, and it's getting better. That's the crazy thing. It's getting better. And you, Robert Mays, are getting better and better with every appearance because the last time you didn't have that 9 Inch Nails artwork behind you. Props to you. You know what you're doing. Always good to see you, my friend.
It. Good to see you guys, too. Really appreciate the time. Awesome.
Appreciate you, Robert.
Absolutely. It's fun.
See you guys later.
All right.
Let's hope so. Definitely. Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.